A recent religious survey revealed that the largest growing group in the U.S. is the unaffiliated, or nuns. Nones. On average, almost a quarter of Americans have no religious affiliation at all. This group is mostly comprised of individuals who have experienced Christianity but walked away. These souls primarily believe in God but do not belong to a particular church. They are either freelance Christians, charting their own path, or people who sample things from various faiths, or identify as spiritual but not religious. It's also interesting to note that when polled, many have left other denominations that have watered down traditional teachings, from marriage to life issues, the Trinity, morals, and the existence of heaven and hell. And at the heart of it is really a feeling that is of the church is simply a reflection of the world and societal beliefs. Why bother belonging? That is why the early Christians saw the church as a boat that carried souls over the stormy seas of this world to the safe shores of salvation. This Lent, I challenge you to not only practice your faith with a greater intensity and purpose, but bring a friend aboard this boat to try church again. Why is it so important to board the boat of church? Blessed John Henry Newman, a convert to Catholicism, said that one of the marks of a healthy religion is its power of assimilation. In other words, religion must take in certain healthy aspects of the world, but resist what would lead it astray from God. Assimilation is the process that every living being uses. As humans, our largest organ, that is our skin, keeps out most of the harmful things of this world, while our mouth takes in nutrients and our lungs air. All these are necessary to maintain our life. But if we took in certain bacteria or viruses, or no longer were able to process nutrients or take in air, we die, and our body decays or returns to the world. Back to the analogy of the church being a boat, we spring a leak, and the boat becomes part of the sea. The unaffiliated or nuns don't want to join a boat that has failed to keep out harmful waters. They would be better off in their mindset to tread water on their own. With this in mind, we take a look at our first reading from Genesis, about God working to save creation by having it board a great boat that Noah built at his command. Now think about the flood not as God's retribution, but rather as a natural consequence of letting in every harmful thing of the world. The people of Noah's time had morally drowned. So Noah gathers his family and God's animals into a boat to get them to safety. He was building the ark in the middle of a desert, and must have seemed foolish to his neighbors, and even his family and friends. When we are first inviting people to board the boat, or try church again, we will seem just as foolish as Noah. But inside the ark, creation was saved, and it journeyed to dry land. When they arrived, Noah threw open the hatches of the ark, and let the life out, and replenished the land. It is inside the boat of the church that God is getting us safely to the shores of salvation. But see, we buck at first to even get into the boat, because we all want to drive. But the church is a place that we go to get direction, not give direction. It is in the Mass and her unchanging teachings that we are reoriented to what gives us a share of divine life, what can heal the wounds inflicted by the world, where we can find rest from treading water on our own, and what is of highest value, namely God. So where does our hope lie? That we can invite some of the unaffiliated or nuns to board the boat and try church again. Time and again we have seen the generosity and selfless outpouring of aid that Americans render to one another in times of crisis. From the martyrs who shielded strangers from a barrage of gunfire in Las Vegas, to the miles-long line of private boats waiting to rescue Houston flood victims. The spirit necessary to rescue more souls from the flood of destruction is already ingrained within us. But, Pope Francis reminded us, our biggest hang-up in inviting people back to church is that we evangelize like we have just returned from a funeral. You see, if Noah had not promised a greater joy by getting into the boat, then he probably would have sailed alone. The Pope continued, "May the world of our time, which is searching, sometimes with anguish, sometimes with hope, be enabled to receive the good news, not from evangelizers who are dejected, discouraged, impatient, or anxious, but from ministers of the gospel whose lives glow with fervor, who have first received the joy of Christ themselves."